So hey Lance, you have an all new look. Like you've been on Hondas forever. Tell us about your new deals.
Yeah, I've been hanging out with Coury hard a bunch, and over the last couple of years, we've just become good friends, and he just slowly kind of wanted to get me on this deal. I mean, about 2 years ago, he approached me. He's like, "Hey, how can I get you on Hart and Huntington? I want you to be part of the team," and we worked it out with Nike and made it work, and then just kept building from there. And then this year, he hit me up. He's like, "Hey, I want you to be even more part of the team. Like, it'd be awesome if you were riding our bikes and had our shrouds, and you could bring some of your sponsors over with you." And so we worked out a deal, and now I'm riding Cowies, and I love them. They're cool.
How was the adjustment to the Kawasaki's? I mean, it's quite a bit different than a Honda.
It is different. I think it wasn't terrible for me as a freestyle rider because I've been riding 4-strokes the last 5 years. So it wasn't like from a 2-stroke to a 450 all of a sudden. So that wasn't terrible, but the actual bikes are totally different machines. I mean, these have a little bit more engine braking, which definitely changes the way you ride it for freestyle and the fact of letting go of the bike and stuff. But the bike has a lot of power, and it actually, for like, you know, kind of like hesitating up to a jump and then getting on it on takeoffs, it really has grunt there, and I like it. I'm still learning on them. I think each bike here has like 2 hours on them maybe, so I'm still getting comfortable, but so far so good.
So I know on a track, the Honda is super light and handles a lot different than the Cowie. Is it harder to learn the tricks on a heavier bike like the Kawasaki?
You know, it's kind of weird because with the weight difference, everyone, like, as soon as I said I'm riding Cowies next year, everyone's like, "Oh, 10 pounds different, 10 pounds different." And I kind of was just like, well, you know, I've seen other guys ride the Cowie. I know it is possible for freestyle, and there's dudes killing it on the supercross track on them, so it can't be that terrible.
Yeah.
But when you're actually doing the tricks, I find it almost better, because when I'm doing rock solids and I come up to the ramp and I can hit the ramp maybe even slower and just more on it, the bike floats better. And then when I actually let go, the bike has more inertia itself, so kind of like follows its line and doesn't wig out as much. So I've been enjoying it. I think if anything, it's been a little better.
Okay, so you get the bikes, set them up freestyle. What are the major things you have to do? So.
Well, the major things, you don't have to, but this is a re-welded cut subframe. It's a rounded tube, and it's closer to the seat. And then we have to cut the seat down just a little bit, and it's not to get your feet over anything, but more or less so you can grab it easier. Zip tie this close so that I can grip my feet on that. The suspension is RG3 sets me up with like 150, 155 pound supercross setting. I've been riding enough supercross and speed and style tracks lately that kind of need like a diverse setting to where I can go through whoops but still hit ramps. So that's been good. Sprockets we run pretty big so that we can kind of rev out more in second gear for like a jump between 75 and 100 feet. So this is a 53 tooth sprocket, which is fairly big, going from, I think it's a 51 maybe stock on these, 50 stock on these. So it's a couple teeth different. Tall bars, a stabilizer, a couple things, but for the most part it's just suspension, a grab hole cut good, and I try to keep my bike close to my motocross bike so that my bikes always kind of feel the same.
Okay, so on the way here, Luke and I were talking about you and like a guy like Cantrell. Like, you're pretty prominent freestyle guys. You get a lot of press. People know who you are. You do the X Fighter circuit.
Yeah.
Correct? Are you gonna make an X Games debut soon, or?
I've been wanting to ride X Games, I mean, since the day I started riding freestyle. That's kind of the reason I got into it. I saw X Games in LA and I was like, man, I want to do that. It's very, very political, and the spots, I mean, they went from 16 to now they really only invite 8 guys, and it's a TV show at the end of the day, you know, so it's who they want on their TV show, you know what I mean? And don't get me wrong, everyone riding in X Games are incredible riders, and they all hold their own. They're great guys, but it's just kind of who the X Games committee wants on their TV show. So it's tough. I'm doing my best, and on riding as many events and as many competitions and getting that seasoning and getting out there. And I'm sure one of these days I'll get my invite. I did receive an invite 2 years ago, and 2 weeks before I dislocated my elbow. So I had to pull out, and then from there I haven't received one since. But it's definitely in the plans, and it's definitely what I want to do. So we'll just see. I'll keep working my angles to get in.
So with or without X Games, I mean, you're making a good living as a freestyle rider. I mean,
Yeah, I think there's a ton of stuff to do over X Games, you know?
yeah.
It's definitely like the big thing everyone asks, are you in X Games or in X Games? But I still think there's a ton. I have a good following from the Great Ride Open and a lot of Fuel TV shows I've done. I get a lot of people hitting me up on Facebook and Twitter and telling me that they just watched me on Fuel, and that a lot of people follow that, and I have a decent following from there. So I'm lucky enough to have those shows, and I work well with my sponsors and just try to stay live and stay in the magazines and stay busy and do as many events as I can as well, whether it is X Fighters or Do Tour, and have fun with it, you know?
So you're also a businessman, right?
Yes.
Talk about Motorgate a little bit.
Motorgate. So like about 4 or 5 years ago when I got my license, we would load up 2 or 3 bikes in the truck. Me and a buddy would put a tie down through the spokes and hope our gear bags made it to the track, you know? And then we were just like, man, there's gotta be a better way. And one of our buddies had like a netting for the back of his truck, but they were like, the old school nets are the ones that kind of just like, they don't move back or forth. It's just like where the tailgate was. And we ended up putting bungee cords on it and like securing our stuff with that. And we're like, man, it would be awesome. It was like a stronger material, tie downs, this and that. And I had the connections to get one made. And from that day on, like we made one, we made 10. Me and my friends were using them. We made a couple hundred, tried to sell them. And I didn't really put much attention into it, just tried to sell it and see what happened. And then I had some time off, and I'm like, I've been using this thing for the last 3 or 4 years. I love it. All my close friends love it. We all ride. Let's get these out there in the world. Let's make a bunch and try to sell them, you know? And I wouldn't waste my time on it if I truly didn't think it was a product that motocross riders, desert guys, or anyone who's hauling equipment wouldn't use. You know, I mean, I make my money riding motorcycles. Why would I go waste my time to try to sell something?
Yeah.
So it's a product that I believe in, that I use when I need it. And I think when the public really realizes how useful it is, it'll be something that people want.
So I think the product is like, I would guess 60% marketed through social media, because you're a watchdog on Twitter and Instagram and all that stuff. I mean, how does that work for you? I mean, have you gained customers and sales by Instagramming stuff and Twittering stuff? I mean, because, you know, I know that you watch everything because you busted me for running a tie down the other day.
Yeah, I think that like the social media world, it's definitely like, it's working. I mean, just this morning before you guys came to my house, I had someone Instagram me, hey, where do I get one of those Motorgates? On the photo of me going riding.
Yeah.
So it definitely helps. And luckily, I have childhood friends, Cole Seeley, and other riders that I ride with today, Carrie Hart, who stand behind it because they believe in it just as much as me. So they push it on their social media, and I think it definitely helps. And I do my part in trying to stay in the magazines, TransWorld or whatever it is, with the Motorgate product, and just trying to spread the word, you know? I think it's a good product, or else I wouldn't do it.
Okay. Cool. So what are what's on your agenda for the rest of 2012?
Rest of 2012. Well, just got on these bikes. It's been about 2 weeks now. So still getting comfortable with these. I'm gonna be practicing Supercross with like Chris Plouffe a bunch. He lives around here, he's got a track, so we're gonna ride that a bunch. Ride freestyle with the guys out at Wyvern. And then Do Tour and X Fighters I'd like to be in, and X Games, you know? I mean, would definitely like to push to get into all 3 of those events this year and see what I can do. I got a lot of seasoning last year, and I started to get my confidence up as I would go into practice and get to the event. I felt a little calmer and a little bit better. So I think the seasoning still has to get there and all that. It's not like Supercross where a kid gets to sign up for the lights class and race 10 races that year. There's one freestyle contest or whatever it be, and then it's like, oh, you had your chance, that's it. So you really gotta like build that confidence, and doing shows, doing stuff like that doesn't build you that contest seasoning. I mean, I'm going to contest X Fighters in Dubai, and I'm lining up to Nate Adams. Before I was even riding freestyle, I was looking up to Nate Adams. So to get up there and sit next to these guys that I've been looking up to before I even rode freestyle, it's definitely tough. You know, you're like, oh, I can do this. I look up to these guys. This is crazy. You know, it's definitely a lot to take in when you're doing it, for sure.
Cool. Well, hey, thanks for having us up, and good luck the rest of the year.
Yeah, thank you guys, for sure.